Hello, this is Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I wanted to welcome you to the final installment, check-in number 6 of The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. Many of us have been reading this together. It's been a month and a half, if you can believe it. Well, look how big this book is, of the Goldfinch read-along. So I've been doing this in conjunction, in partnership with Juan of Just Juan Reader, and many people who've been reading this in anticipation of the premiere. So the movie will be premiering on the day this goes up, which will, in the United States at least, and so that'll be Friday the 13th. So I'll be talking about the finale of this book. There will be spoilers. We're literally talking about the end of the book. So if you haven't read it, if you plan on reading it, do not watch this video. Come back later. If you have no plans to read it, feel free. Or if you've already read it, please let us know in the comments your thoughts and all of that. But I just wanted to be super explicit that we're going to be talking about spoilers. So let's get into the book and the finale. So the last bit of the book, there's really three big chunks of action. So we're starting at chapter 11 and moving to the end. In chapter 11, we open with Theo and Boris exiting quickly out of Theo's engagement party. Boris comes and tells him, we found the painting. We know where it is. Let's go. Grab your passport, get as much money as you can gather together, and we're out of here. So Theo goes, they drop him off. He goes to his house. He grabs as much money as he can. He also gathers together a present for Pippa. And this present includes a very expensive necklace that he bought with his ill-gotten gains. And he kind of drapes it over I think it was her shoes that she had by her door, and leaves the present. So he then feels very happy with what he's done, and he leaves, and they're off to Amsterdam. The idea is that Theo is going to go straight to Amsterdam. He's going to be met by someone, and they're going to drop him off at a hotel. He's to wait for Boris there. Boris is going to come in through a different route with somebody else, and they're going to meet up. So we recognize as Theo is in Amsterdam that he's never left the country before. And so there's a lot of conversation about the strangeness, the strange sounds and smells and the scenery. And of course, you can tell that Donna Tartt loves Amsterdam because she just paints such a beautiful picture of the city and the canals and the atmosphere. She really nails Amsterdam, as she does New York City and Vegas in this book. So Boris ends up arriving with his partners, and they're like, okay, we're ready to go. Here's the deal. I guess there's been some negotiation back and forth. The people that they're dealing with feel like amateurs. They keep wanting to control the situation, so they keep changing where the meeting places will be, the timing, and all of that. As Theo goes in and is freshening up, and he comes into the room and sees there's a gun, and says, "What are we doing? This is crazy. Let's not do this." He also had made a suggestion earlier, like, hey, if we know where the painting is and we know they have it, let's just call the cops and have the cops take it, and we can just be done with it. But Boris is adamant, and he was irate at that idea. That was a really bad idea, and he didn't want that to happen. So they get in the car, and the plan is they're going to go to this meeting place. It's this cafe near the red light district. They're going to meet, and they're going to give the money to these people and trade for the painting. Well, unbeknownst to Theo, Boris has a different plan. He's going to rip them off for ripping him off. And so they get there, and things get a little crazy really quick. There's A mention of an Asian boy or an Asian girl, the gender is unknown, kind of running out as everything starts to go south. What Boris has done is he's anticipated that they were going to try to come in through a back way, grab the money, and probably take the painting, maybe kill them. He's blocked their ability to do that, and he recognized that he saw there was a bunch of guns in the back room. Finds the painting, they run out quickly and make their exit. The car, their getaway car, is in a parking garage nearby. They go to the parking garage. They're congratulating themselves for a great heist of the heist, and Boris sends off the other members of their entourage with some reward money for a job well done. So it's just Boris and Theo when out of nowhere appears this Asian boy and two Americans with guns. So apparently, unbeknownst to us, the Asian boy was actually Sasha's lover, and he called Sasha. Sasha called these two Americans he knew that were working for him, and they came and they want retribution. They want to get the painting, and they're pissed. The intention is they're gonna get the painting and they're gonna kill Boris and Theo. Boris knows what's gonna happen. He tries to have Theo run. Theo doesn't get it. There's chaos and pandemonium. Boris kills one of the guys. The pistol goes scattering across the floor. Theo picks it up and clips the other guy. Chaos ensues. The Asian guy, it grabs the painting and then runs. They don't have a chance to run after him. The painting's gone. They look back and they see the havoc that has been created, and they run into a restroom in this parking garage, make themselves presentable, get in the car, and drive. So they get out of there. Boris made it look like it was a drug deal gone wrong or something between these two men, and then they part ways. They get stuck in this traffic. They get worried that they're going to get caught in this car, and so Boris says, "Hey, get out! You're near your hotel. Go to your hotel." So here's the part where I didn't like it in the last time I read it, and I didn't like it this time either. So let me make sure I grab my notes here. From page 608 is when Theo arrives at the hotel. He's sick, he's disoriented, he's overwhelmed, he's low spirits, obviously. It's not until page 706 does he realize that he had left his passport in the car because that was the agreement. They all took the passports and put them in the glove compartment of the getaway car so that if anything happened, they couldn't be identified. So in 707, on page 707, Theo is sick of being in this hotel and he tries to leave. He doesn't know what's happening with Boris. Boris was shot or hurt in the incident, so Boris could be dead somewhere. He doesn't know, and he hasn't heard from him. He tries to leave at the train station, but is told that without a passport, he can't even buy a ticket, period. So then he calls the U.S. Embassy, and it turns out this is Christmas time, and the U.S. Embassy is not going to expedite anything, and he needs to get all sorts of things put together, and so he's feeling hopeless. It's not until page 730, so 688 to 730, that Boris finally appears back in the narrative. That is in an interminable amount of time, in my opinion, where we are stuck with Theo in this hotel room, panicking, sick, worried, anxious. It's just an editor really could have been used in that section, in my humble opinion. Finally, Boris appears. And Boris has a bunch of money with him, but he does not have the painting. So Theo is very upset. He's like, I don't want the money. I don't know why you have this money. What are you doing? And we have the wonderful, wonderful redemptive arc of Boris. Boris listened to Theo and actually did turn them over to the cops and called the police and got the reward money. So this money that they are actually looking at is the reward money because the painting has been recovered. And this is a wonderful, wonderful way for Boris to repay his debt to Theo for stealing the painting in the beginning. And Theo is also absolved of having the painting, and now it's safe in people's hands. He doesn't have to worry about how he's going to do it. And everything just feels like it's going to stabilize. So wonderful conclusion. They end up leaving Amsterdam and they go to Antwerp where Boris has been hiding out. They spend a couple days there. And then Theo ends up going back to New York. The next chapter has him sitting with Hobby in the kitchen and bearing all. Hobby's very, very angry at Theo, not only for just leaving, but also for giving Pippa the necklace, which was, what are you thinking? It was really unfair to Pippa. It wasn't, it was obviously through ill-gotten gains that he even had that. Pippa has a fiance. It was a horrible thing to do, and is kind of holding him to taking him to task for that. He also knows exactly how much Theo has been playing around with selling these things, and it's around the tune of $2 million. Who knows if that's really what it is, but it's pretty close. He had received a visit from Reeve, and they're slowly putting together the concept of the painting. And then he heard all the things that were happening in Amsterdam, and he thought for sure that Theo was involved with that. And more importantly, he didn't think Theo was ever coming back. He thought that was the end of their relationship. Theo sits him down and tells him everything and finally comes clean. Then we move to the third act of this section, and this is where we jump into the future, where Theo acknowledges that the past year he has spent making restitution for his ill-gotten gains, and he's going to every single one of the people that he swindled, and he's trying to make good. And in doing so, he's learning about himself. He's letting go of his ties, and he's finally doing the right thing. And then there becomes this conversation about art and how art, kind of the philosophy of art in the world, that is very beautiful and is a nice ending cap, pulling it all together. So there's also the conclusion of his two relationships. So Kitsy, he's been told that they won't hold him to his engagement. So there's never really been an ending to it, but there's also nothing progressing. So it's kind of fading into the background. And Pippa has been very clear that she does love him, but they're not good for each other. What holds them together is a very painful, dangerous incident in their lives. And while they have a lot in common, they have too much in common, and that what holds them together is too negative, and it would only bring them down. And so she basically says this is never going to happen, and he's accepting it. So we have the opportunity for Theo to start fresh, a new life after doing all of this restitution and coming clean and owning up to truly what he's done. So that's the end of our book. I would love to know what your thoughts are about the last section. Do you think that that it was too long? That the time in the hotel was just unbearable, or did that feel right to you? And I would also like to talk about the Asian character. So I'm bothered, quite frankly. I will say I have a bias toward being extra sensitive to the way underrepresented minorities are reflected in literature. So with that bias already existing, I was really bothered with the fact that Donna Tartt didn't do anything with this Asian character. We don't even get a name. This character just kind of appears at a key and pivotal scene at the end of this book. and there's no backstory. It's very amorphous. It's very strange, given that even the people that were going with Theo as kind of backup and bodyguard with Boris, we got a lot of details about them and nothing about this gay Asian character. So that I'm bothered by that, because she hasn't shown us that is her style all the way through the book. We get richness with each character, and then this one is specifically devoid of any characteristics save the relationship and location. So he's Asian, which fits for the cafe they were in, which was an Indonesian cafe. And he is the boyfriend of Sasha, who was the person who double-crossed Boris in the original deal. But there's nothing else. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Please let me know in the comments below. I will be going to see the movie on opening night. I am not expecting anything great because the reviews, as I may have mentioned, are really pretty poor. I don't expect, I think this was probably a very difficult thing to bring to life. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to do a mini review this weekend of the movie and how the movie relates to the book. But other than that, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who's joined us on this long journey, a month and a half of the read along. If you weren't able to meet with us at each of the phases, still feel free, please, to comment on each of the sections as you go. This will be up for as long as I have a BookTube channel, which hopefully will be for a long time. So I would love to hear your thoughts. We can always talk in the future about this book. So thank you very much for joining us, and I'll look forward to maybe doing another read along of something equally as stirring and interesting in the future. Thank you, Juan, for doing this with me. It was a ton of fun, and talk to you later. Bye.